Okay. Here we are. Hello, everybody. Whoever decides to join me on this wonderful journey of poker studying and learning and enjoyment. I'm drinking a can of Mountain Dew Code Red Zero Sugar because everybody knows that Mountain Dew Code Red is the gamer drink of choice. And once you take the sugar out of it, it's really just an athletic steroid, if you will. So, I've got four hands we're going to go through. I did play these hands earlier today, but I've forgotten them already. So we're going to go through, I'm going to replay exactly what happened, and I will try my best to analyze as I go through, see if I made any mistakes or what can we learn from these. Let's see what we got here. Let's hit play. I've got ace queen in the small blind. There's a limp. Oh, is the button placed in the wrong spot? That is weird. But I'm in the small blind, so button limps. Button limps, I make it 40. Normally in this spot I would, if I was RFI, if I was raised first in, I would make it 30, but I make it 40 because there's a limp on the button. I'm on the small blind. I could, maybe even could have made it 50 just because I've got ace queen. Um, I've got ace queen, which is a strong hand, and the button has already shown that he wants to play. That's just what I, that's how I think about a player who's just casually limping, not really thinking about a limping strategy, is he is acknowledged that he wants to play the hand, and it's not necessarily a very strong one. So I would, sometimes make it, I could argue that you could go 50 in this spot because I'm going to be guaranteed ahead of anything that he wants, and he doesn't want to fold, right? Because he's already in the hand. If he wanted to fold, he would have just done it. Anyways, he makes the call. Oh, Jesus Christ. I remember this hand. All right. So flop comes ace queen deuce, all spades. Button versus small blind. He limps. Obviously, he's gonna have all the flushes, and I'm not gonna have all the flushes. Uh, but we're still working with some pretty tight ranges here. There's not a ton of stuff. Did I say tight ranges or wide ranges? I meant wide. If that's not what I said. There's a ton of stuff that is just going to be a bunch of BS. There's a bunch of stuff that's going to want to continue here. He's going to have ace 10 suited lower. He's going to have lots of queen jacks, queen tens, and things. And he might even have, he might even have, I don't know, fives with the five of spades that might want to do something silly. Anyways, so all this comes into the middle. I bet I bet a large size. The reason for the large sizing is there's spades out there. If he's got the king of spades that he wants to draw with, I want to make it so that he doesn't draw. But, and I don't know if that's entirely the best strategy here. I am willing to admit that I'm willing to admit that monotone flops are not my strongest position. Like that's not what I've studied a lot, so I don't really know how to navigate them or play them. So maybe I just absolutely donked it off. He raises to 3, which is a significant raise. He's in position. He makes it more than 4x. Um, and I just figure, if he's going crazy with, queen deuce suited, ace deuce suited, maybe any ace deuce he might have. He could have a set of deuces, but so be it. Or he could be bluffing with the king of spades. A fair percentage of the time, or I mean, what other freaking bluffs does he have? Like Jack 10 with the Jack of Spades. That's about it. But I feel like I'm ahead of enough of his value range that he would be raising with here that I'm just piling it in on the flop. I shove all in, which actually can we go back here? It just sends us to the back. All right. Bet raise to 3x. So and we're playing 850 effective. So if I re-raise all in, it would be 690 in the pot and 550 more for him to call. So I feel like that's a decent size. It's almost a pot size bet to just jam over. I feel like that's plenty fine as far as sizing goes. And he just turns out he flopped the flush. And maybe it's easy to see if he limps on the button and then calls a raise. He's probably got some of these BS, middle of the road suited hands. So maybe that's my fault for seeing. But even in this spot, we're still drawing live, right? We've got four outs, I believe, two queens, two aces, two queens, two aces. So I don't think that's horrible how we played that. Um, but maybe a slight overplay. Like maybe I do this with aces and queens, but not ace queen, just because we have got more boat outs if he happens to have a flush, and we're ahead of more, and we're ahead of deuces if he happen to have deuces. Anyways, we lose that one. That one sucks. Next. All right. Now the button is in the correct spot. All right. So under the gun flats or limps, I raised to 40 for the same reason that I mentioned earlier with Jack 10 offsuit on the button. Don't think it's a great hand to play on the button. Obviously, if you're raised first in, okay, we flop a boat. Um, if we raise first in on the button, then absolutely Jack 10 offsuit is, we're mixing it up. We're in there. But I think with the flat from under the gun is just could be kind of scary, and Jack 10 offsuit is going to be the bottom of our range anyways, so we could probably fold this one. But I don't mind mixing it up just for funsies. He checks, and I decide to check back. We've got basically the best thing we could have here, right? Like the only hand that we'd have better is jacks, and that's one combo. So we've got basically the nuts. As far as our range goes, we've got top of range. So we're slow playing. We're slow playing. So one thing to kind of keep in mind is he limped. He limp called from under the gun. So what does his range sort of look like there? I don't really know. Low small pocket pairs, really. Like you can't really start thinking too much garbage like that 8-5 suited or whatever, right? Because like 8-5 suited on the button, I'm sure would be a fine limp. From a recreational player, somebody who's just kind of like fucking around. But like I think even a bad player would would not limp 8-5 suited from under the gun. Um, so he's probably got some like suited kings, suited queens, suited aces maybe even, and then small pocket pairs, and then maybe some like Jack 10, 10 9, 10 8, you know 10 eights, those larger suited connectors and suited one gappers is probably what his hand's looking like. Okay, I remember what happens here. So flop comes, it goes check check because we're top of range. We want to slow play, let him catch up a little. Then he bets a full pot size bet, and I have no idea what people are doing when they do shit like this. Um, so initially I thought, a pot size bet is like scary. Not quite scary, but it just means strong. Is what that tells me. If he's got another jack, if he happens to have queen jack, then we've sucked out on him. If he happens to have jack 9, jack 8 would be a dream, right? Then we just get all of his money. But if he happens to have any jack, then he might make this bet, right? Because he was planning on check raising us on the flop, but we checked back. Now he's placing this large bet to try and get value. Um, so I could easily see him having a jack. I could also easily see him having queen 9. Like those suited queens that are kind of like in the middle, not really all that good, would be something that a recreational player might want to limp with under the gun, but they wouldn't feel like raising. So I could also see queen 9. That's what was going through my head at the time. So I believe I decided to just raise it up here. What did I do? Yeah, I went for more time and then I raised it to 230. I tried to go like a two and a half, a little less than two and a half size, just because we're in position and the board's already paired. So if he's got any flush draws, I want them to feel more priced in. Hindsight, thinking back on this spot, if he's got any of those straight draws, like if he just has a nine, like if he just has a nine, we want that to get there. If he's got a flush draw, we want that to get there. We're in position, so we're not like risking a check back on the river if we just flat here. I think a flat's like way better, way 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 better. I should have just called. He ends up folding, and I wanted to think about this one later. So this is definitely a spot where flatting is like 100% the right choice now that I'm thinking about it. And this may have been the hand that I played right before I went to go take a big shit. So maybe my mind was just totally in the wrong spot. But there's that hand. On to the next one. What do we got here? I'm under the gun with ace queen, raise, standard, button calls. Okay, so we've got under the gun versus button. Flop comes king seven deuce diamonds. We are not in position. We don't have any diamonds. There's a dry board. I think I took a stab at this, yeah. I took a stab, probably pretty small. No, I checked. Oh, I remember this. This one was weird. Alright, so I didn't have any diamonds, and I had good ace high showdown value. I'm beating all other ace highs. So, excuse me. So I decided to just check, and he checks back. That's awesome. That's golden. Turn comes another king. Almost certain we have the best hand here. Like he could just have a seven. He could have a seven or a deuce, but yeah, he probably has a lot of sevens and deuces actually. Like willing to check back the flop. Probably weighted more towards deuces. I could see him wanting to bet a seven a lot just for protection. But deuces are just nowhere near strong enough to bet. Turn comes a king. I check, he checks. Yeah, this was weird. Okay, so I check, he checks, and we get a miracle ace. We've got the best hand here, like almost 100% of the time. Flush draws brick, whatever. We've got ace and kings with a queen. Good kicker. I could easily see him going check, check, check with a seven or a deuce. We're beating those now. He could be doing it with sixes down, maybe even pocket eights. Unlikely pocket eights. I feel like pocket eights would bet the turn. Um, but anyways, he could be doing it with sixes or lower, right? He was on the button. He called our raise. Although he is short stacked, so he would be disincentivized to call with those smaller pocket pairs. With the short stack, he just doesn't get paid enough when he flops a set. River comes the ace. We're beating all those hands now, and now it's possible to get value from ace jack, ace 10, ace 9, ace 8, ace 7 even. Ace 7, ace 6, literally every other ace that was just checking down for showdown value, we can now get value from. So I bet pretty large, I think, just because I know that we can get called from any ace. That's what was going through my mind. Yep, yeah, I bet full pot basically. And he snap calls with king 10 of spades. So everything that we were just saying is out the door. Don't think about that anymore. He didn't want to bet the flop when checked to. He didn't want to bet the turn when checked to. And then he didn't want to raise the river when we for sure have an ace. So he just played that super passive, made absolutely no sense, but we lost the minimum, so that's fine. Fine, I guess. I feel like I played that very well. Just pot size bet, just pot on the river. That's how you play that. All right, that was a good hand by me. Okay, this hand we're jacking off in the small blind. Folds to us. All right, so we're small versus big. I raised to 30. And get re-raised, which is absolute. I didn't just fold here? This is crazy. What was going on in my head in this hand? Okay, so he re-raises me almost 8x. That's good. Or no, sorry, 6x. Almost 6x he re-raises me. That should just be a snap fold. Like we're just not even getting the odds anywhere near. King Jack is not a great hand to begin with. Blind versus blind, obviously, it's a good one. However, playing out of position and he makes, just the odds are so bad. I think this might even just be a fold. It just doesn't play post flop very well. There's not a lot of maneuverability, as the kids would say. All right, so but I end up making the call for some fucking crazy reason. So I check and he bets. Oh shit, we gotta get this out of the way. All right, check. He bets 2/3, and I'm thinking I could easily rep. I'm remembering this hand now. Good. I've got way more eights than he does. He's got overpairs, of course, but he's also got ace highs that he's got to worry about, right? Like I've got all my sixes, fives, fours. I don't know about fours, but sixes, fives, fours, nines, uh, nines, tens even would be in this range because I wouldn't be to a sizing that big. I wouldn't be re-raising with tens. I don't think. Maybe I would be. Who knows? So I'm feeling that I can easily get out all the ace highs, the ace kings, the ace queens that have just missed and are taking a stab. I can get them out with a small raise, and that I've got the king of spades and the jack of diamonds. I'm blocking potential backdoor possibilities that he could float me with. If he's got, if he had ace king of spades, which he can't have because I've got the king of spades, then he might want to peel one off if I make a small raise because he's got the overcards with the backdoor flush draw. So I make it 5. Let's see here if I like that. I may have liked 450 more, but like we're kind of splitting hairs. I made it 2.5x, a little less than 2.5, which I think is fine. I didn't really want to min click him. So yeah, a little smaller than 2.5. I think that sizing's fine. He ends up calling. The third 8 rolls off. And this is where I think I make the mistake. I think I barrel here. I think I barrel here for sure. No, now that I'm thinking about it more, the reason I probably don't want to barrel is once he calls me, he's got tens, jacks, queens, kings, aces, right? Like all of those hands. If they didn't pile it in on the flop, which they may not have, they are for sure never folding on this turn. And then like yes, I fold out those ace highs, but if the turn were rather like a 6, like the 6 of clubs, you know, then I could bet again. Then I could bet again, and then aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens would be in this spot where it's like, okay, even some of the hands that he was bluffing with, he just got there, and I'm losing to an 8, so and then they would just fold. Whereas if they have those high pocket pairs, they are just never folding on this turn card. So I think checking is good here, and that's what I do. Yep, I check, and he checks. And now this river comes off. 5 of diamonds. And I really am just not sure where he's at, right? Like, what does he bet call with? He's still got all those ace highs. He's still got all those ace highs with backdoor draws. Like ace king of hearts, ace queen of hearts, ace jack of hearts. He's got all those that I would want to bluff out. So I decide to go on for a bet now. and he snap calls me. I bet. How much should I bet? Let's go back to the beginning. To the river. I bet $4 into 13. So I bet a third pot. I bet a third pot, and he snap calls me with King 7 offsuit. So dude raised me 6x pre-flop, blind versus blind with King 7 offsuit. So it is just one of those situations where the moral of the story is just try your best to play solid poker, and eventually you'll come out on top here, because this guy is going wild with some just for no reason. So, all right, that's all I had for that session. Thanks for following me through the recap. If you made it this far, if you have any thoughts on what I had to say, maybe I was just talking like a complete idiot. And you want to call me a donkey monkey or something? That's fine. You go right ahead. I would love to have any conversation relating to poker. It's my thing. So, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later.